as you all know, Java remains one of the most critical building blocks of enterprise applications. But migrating legacy Java workloads to the cloud can be complex, risky, and resource intensive. What if you could skip the code rewrites, which is the most challenging part, and move faster without breaking anything? Today, we are diving into a partnership that promises to make cloud native Java adoption far simpler for enterprise teams. Azul has teamed up with Payara to combine Azul Platform Prime with Payara Cube, enabling codeless lift and shift migrations without any refactoring. And today we have with us Gould, Senior Vice President of Corporate Development and Partner Alliance at Azul, to talk about what makes this combination powerful, how it helps with the performance and cost, and what's the next for Java in modern cloud environments. George, it's great to have you on the show.
Great to be here. Thank you for including me.
Let's start with the core offering. What makes the combination of Payara Cube and Azul Platform Prime so effective for codeless lift and shift Java migrations?
So most enterprises today, when they look at the Java apps they have on-prem, and the numbers we're hearing now is more than 40% of those Java apps are locked on-prem for a lot of good reasons. For an enterprise to move a Java app, particularly a mission-critical, revenue-generating kind of application, you often face complexities with that migration because part of the migration usually needs to include a modernization, which usually means that if it's a legacy application that is not being actively developed, you've got to find developers to go back and start retooling that application, which can be difficult. The other is these are important applications to the enterprise. Security is critical. And as enterprises move on-prem apps to the cloud, they have to consider not just security vulnerabilities within the application, but the containers themselves. And the last piece is the risk associated with that migration. The bigger the app, the more complicated the app, the greater the risk is involved in whether they're going to be successful. And success can be defined in a number of criteria. One can be, did the ROI work? The reason they moved to the cloud was to leverage the benefits. Maybe it's around elasticity. Maybe it's around cost savings. Were they able to capture that? If not, that was a failed effort and will probably make it challenging for enterprises to look at the other percent of applications they have.
And if you can also talk about, is this the first time you are working with Payara or you have an existing relationship with them?
So, well, very good point. We've actually had a 6-year history with Payara. Payara's heritage has been around replatforming of J2EE applications. So this is enterprises that want to move off WebLogic Server. Maybe they want to move off IBM WebSphere. That's an important step to take, particularly because those licensing support costs can be very expensive. So that was their history. When they did that, those customers were asking Payara to also provide a well-supported, well-curated build of OpenJDK to run those applications. 6 years ago, we entered into an OEM partnership with Payara so they could provide those customers with our platform core product, which is the most secure, well-curated builds of OpenJDK. So that was the start of this partnership. And that has been quite successful. I think more than 80% of their deployments, their customer deployments, leverage our core runtime.
Now, can you also quickly talk about the core offering of this combination of Cube and Azul Platform Prime?
Cube is really the best way to think about Cube. It's a developer productivity tool specifically for Java developers that abstract out the complexity of taking a Java application, a jar file, a WAR file, and moving that all the way to the cloud and deploying that in a Kubernetes environment. The first thing that you'll need to do is to containerize that application. And so Cube will help to automate that. It's also important to point out that Azul just announced 2 partnerships over the last 30 days. One was with RapidFort and the other with ChainGuard. Both are hardened container vendors that fit into this strategy about when enterprises move applications to the cloud. They need to think about not just the steps of possible modernization, understanding how do they leverage the benefit of the cloud, but how do they minimize security vulnerabilities, not just in the app, but in the containers themselves. So this is actually a multi-pronged partner approach. Cube, the first step it does is to containerize your application, and that can be based simply on what's available on Docker Hub, or if you have relationships with the like of ChainGuard or RapidFort, you can leverage those hardened containers as well. Then it becomes, okay, we have a container image. We now need to move that into a Kubernetes environment. For people that are familiar with that, particularly when it's a complicated app, maybe it's a large J2EE app, maybe there's a set of services that run around that. That can be complicated. You have a bunch of YAML manifest files that you have to configure for each app and service. You've got to configure and start up each service, each deployment, maybe pods that are necessary to spin that up so you can now start testing that application. That can be a complicated process, and quite honestly, if you're not familiar with Kubernetes, that's a lot to ask Java developers. What Cube does is through one button can take the jar and war file and in about 15 seconds deploy that and give you back the URL so you can now access those services, that application through a web browser. That's powerful. The beauty of the partnership, though, is during the containerization, Cube now provides to the end user the ability to not only marry the application with Platform Core, the best, most secure, supported JDK from Azul. Now you can add in, through our new partnership, you can add in Platform Prime, which is our high-performance Zing JVM. What's really interesting about that is that can provide top-line benefits to your application. Maybe you're an e-commerce application. Maybe you're a trading application. Maybe you're an ad server and you care about performance, speed, throughput. Zing is a metrically better JVM that can enhance the KPIs for that application. Whether you want to, maybe your enterprise has a growth initiative and you, as a line of business manager, you need to get more out of that application. The most important thing is to grow the top line benefit, the revenue that you can capture from that application, and to do it efficiently. Also, Prime can be used to also address situations where you're moving from the enterprise onto the cloud, but you're more focused around not improving KPIs, but reducing the infrastructure costs to support that application. So I jokingly say our JVMs go to 11. It's a turbocharger you can apply. You can also tune the JVM, so it's all about efficiencies. Now we can give you the same KPIs you had prior, but to 20 or 25% reduction in infrastructure costs. Maybe you ran on 10,000 vCores before, we can reduce that to 8,000 or less. That's powerful. So now, one button deployment through Payara Cube, you can build, containerize, and deploy into Kubernetes. And when you deploy it in the Kubernetes environment, you can instantly see application benefits, whether that's performance, speed, top-line benefits, or bottom-line cost containment. And that's powerful because you didn't have to change a line of code to achieve that. And that's about reducing risk of migrations to the cloud.
Thank you so much for explaining it in detail now. The fact is that today we live in a multi-cloud, hybrid cloud world, which also means the complexity also becomes multifold. How does this partnership help simplify cloud-native Java adoption to those kind of environments? Also, we can talk about Edge as well here.
So the capability of Cube is to understand those two environments and the subtleties it takes to abstract out all the complexities of configuring the Java applications for those different deployment topologies. The subtle difference between different hyperclouds, the difference between private and public, all of those are critical. Could be security requirements, it could be speeds. That's all abstracted out into Cube. So the Cube capabilities and productivity can be delivered in either one of those environments, whether it's a private or hybrid situation or multi-cloud.
When we talk about this partnership, we mostly talk about performance. We also talk about cost, and because these two things are major. But what are the other benefits that, especially this collaboration, bring? We can talk about observability. We can talk about compliance, other factors which may not directly contribute to performance improvement or cost reduction, but they play a very critical role in business operation and business continuity.
Well, cost containment is certainly paramount. When we talk to our customers about how they define success of any migration, it is cost. The next set of issues, as you said, are around continuous visibility. Probably the most important that you didn't mention is continuous security. As these mission critical applications migrate to the cloud, it isn't just about application reducing the risk and vulnerabilities in the application. We have tools today to help do that. We have products like Azul Intelligence Cloud, which can provide real-time information about the vulnerabilities in your existing applications that are running in either on-prem, hybrid cloud, or multi-cloud. But the most important thing is also the containers themselves, understanding the vulnerabilities and really thinking about the cloud as not a one-time push around security. It's getting the mentality of continuous security, what you have to do on almost a nightly basis to ensure that the application and the container are secure.
Now, one of the core strength of this announcement is also no code change, no refactoring required. Now, this seems like, first of all, a big deal. At the same time, refactoring is also a huge challenge in itself. How can you also talk about, because when we look at, first of all, Java, it's been around for so long. The way it is used is also beyond, imagination, the way it has been used. And now you're moving to these kind of hybrid and cloud environments. How does this partnership ensure the code doesn't change, the compatibility remains, because you don't even know how somebody is using it, what kind of applications? Some are legacy applications, some are model applications. So just talk about when you make a promise of no code changes, how do you ensure this compatibility?
That assurance is really done through the JVM itself. Every JVM that Azul has ever shipped has been TCK tested. This is a suite of over 10,000 or 110,000 unit tests that we run against every binary build of our JDKs. And that is the starting point for our quality testing to ensure that our JVM meets the spec standards for that given version of Java. And so that has always been the mantra of Java. Write it once, run it anywhere. And that compatibility is achieved through the JVM itself. So the nice thing is Java's always been a portable language. It still doesn't mean that when you deploy to the cloud that you're going to be able to ensure you have the same level of performance. That's where having the option in the product Payara Cube to pick the JVM that best fits the needs of that application. A developer might have a very simple service and they want to use platform core because they want a well-curated, supported, and secure JDK, but it's not critical about performance. Sometimes an application will need and want better runtime performance. And by applying Platform Prime and the Zing JDK, a turbocharger that you can essentially attach to that application, you can get better metrics. You can achieve greater throughputs. You can see faster compilation and just flat out performance. That translates to a better experience. You can achieve greater KPIs, All of that was done through one, assurance that you're in a JVM that will ensure that your application will run in those cloud environments. And two, it's going to run better and you didn't change a line of code. It doesn't mean that in time you can't make a decision once you're in the cloud to look at additional refactoring, but it doesn't become a barrier for not moving the application at all. And I think that's the most compelling aspect of the partnership, not just Payara, but also with ChainGuard and Rapidfort. How can you alleviate the barriers to unlock 40% of these Java applications that are still on-prem? You have to make it compelling. You have to be able to do it cost effectively and give them a reason. And the reason is by combining the technologies and partners I just talked about, you're going to get a better experience, a better application runtime that's either going to achieve greater KPIs and milestones or cost savings. And that's compelling. And again, no code change.
Java has been around for a very long time, and when we talk to companies like Azul, most folks, we forget about the role of mainframe, role of Linux kernel. We talk about the shiny new objects, Kubernetes and ChatGPT and GenAI. But the fact is, it has been around for a long time, and it is also evolving rapidly thanks to the community of you folks that you have built, especially when we talk about cloud native and containerized workloads. How are you seeing customers' expectation shifting when it comes to Java in modern architecture?
I think the biggest feedback we continue to get, it's never fast enough. I think there's more we can do around compiler optimization and startup speeds. Customers expect when they're meeting loads, when they're scaling out an application, scaling up, they expect these containers to start instantly and the applications inside them to start quicker. And I think that's important. When you look at the value of the cloud, particularly around elasticity and meeting demand, both scaling up and scaling down, we need to be better. We need to be more efficient. And I think that's something we need to continue to focus on and leverage both innovation. Azul is certainly going to be working with the community to put forth innovations within the open source project. But I think there are things that we can do today within our product that is in advance of that, to be a leader and thought leader in that space today by demonstrating what we can do.
What role do you see Azul Payara playing in helping Java stay? I mean, saying that Java stay relevant is kind of a stupid question because Java is playing a very significant role. But what role you folks are playing in ensuring that even modern users continue to use Java in high performance cloud environments effectively, efficiently?
I think it's, as you pointed out, it's continually to ensure that we're providing the Java runtimes in the environments that customers need. You pointed out the edge. We have a brand of our product, which is Azul Core for redistribution, that are embedded in some very important products. They're embedded today in cars, in infotainment systems. We're embedded in routers, in network devices. It's always been about the dream that Java should be everywhere. Many companies have lost focus and think of Java as just server side. We continue to support desktops. So I think this is about keeping Java relevant, also means keeping it active and used in all kinds of use cases and environments, whether it's the edge, whether it's mobile devices, all the way up to large servers.
You earlier mentioned about some of the modern workload, and these days the hottest topic is, of course, AI, Gen AI, LLMs. I am asking four questions. One is that how does Azul look at AI as workloads that folks are running, or how is Azul leveraging AI, Gen AI to help customers?
I think if you look at products like Copilot and many of these other tools that are helping to generate code, I think it's a perfect fit. Anytime we can make developers' task of writing code, iterating, improving, simplifying that is great. And I think there's a great fit for AI in that space. We see AI, though, when you really look at how the enterprise is using Java today, we're in the most important mission critical applications. We don't see Java getting replaced anywhere. In fact, we believe that AI is only going to increase the use of Java because Java is a great tool. It's a great language to use when you're building high scale, high performance applications. So the idea is, yes, these existing applications, whether it's an e-commerce application, will need to wrap these AI services in a set of Java APIs and bring them into the existing applications. So we see that there's still going to be important languages like Python, which are going to be closer to building out a key set of services, but ultimately those services will be wrapped in Java and integrated into the applications that we use every day. So it's not a replacement. It's more of an integration. And the points of integration will continue to be Java, I think, is the de facto language for that.
What's on the roadmap of Azul? What are the just tease us? Don't reveal too much. What kind of partnerships or product innovations that are in the pipeline that you are excited about that your teams are working on?
As I pointed out, there are three sort of dimensions that we look at from how we decide to build versus buy versus partner. Developer productivity is critical. We think there's a lot we can do ourselves, partner augment that. Our intelligence cloud product today offers a number of important functionalities. We have the ability that when you have a running application, we can tell you that there are portions of your code that are now vulnerable. Maybe you didn't test it for months because you haven't pushed out a new release. We can also give you information about your code inventory, things like dead code. Those are great features. We think there's more that we can build into Intelligence Cloud. It's an extensible architecture, things like technical debt, more information about the quality of your application. So I think there are areas there to innovate and possibly partner. The other is going to be around cost savings. Are there ways that we can provide additional signals to containers, into Kubernetes orchestration layers that make running Java applications in the cloud even more efficient, particularly when you're talking about startup speeds and raw speeds, flat out performance. So I think you're going to see some both innovations from Azul in these areas to make it easier, scale faster, go faster, and be more efficient, everything from right sizing your VMs to just saving cost on infrastructure, being more efficient.
George, thank you so much for joining me today and give us an update on this partnership and also how Java is evolving, Java is growing, and how modern organizations are bringing Java in modern workloads. Thank you for sharing all those great insights, and I look forward to chat with you folks again. Thank you.
No, thank you so much. Great to be included. Look forward to our next conversation.